Rink Wide Vancouver, pregame, postgame, every game presented by Bodog. From sports odds to free casino games, make a play at bodog.net. Wadden and JPat here with you with another edition of the pregame show as the Canucks get set to face off against the top team in the Pacific Division, the Vegas Golden Knights, for the first time this year.
Yeah, and the Golden Knights are a handful. They come in with a record of 14-4-1, but they're not at the top of their form. They lost in Edmonton on Saturday night in overtime. Connor McDavid going off, scoring another highlight reel goal there. Vegas with just one win in its last four, and that little stretch comes on the heels of a 9-game win streak. So they were red hot, but they've kind of cooled a little bit here, and a great opportunity for the Vancouver Canucks to take a step forward, coming off the win on Friday against the LA Kings. They're rested. They had Saturday off the ice, a practice Sunday, and they get ready for this test. And what a week. They're going to see Vegas twice this week, here in Vancouver on Monday night, in Sin City on Saturday, and oh yeah, in between, a stop off in Denver to face the Stanley Cup champions.
All right, let's get to the lineup change now, presented by our new partners, OK Tire, out on Fraser Highway in Langley. Want to thank the Delaney brothers for coming on board with the lineup change. What do we got today, JPat? What do we learn from the morning skate?
Yeah, well, the Canucks beat the Kings 4-1 the other night. Pretty good team effort, but they will make one change based on the morning skate, and it looks like Vasily Podkolzin draws back into the lineup after missing the last couple of games with a facial injury. Suffered that fight in Boston. He didn't play in Buffalo, and he wasn't in the lineup the other night against the Los Angeles Kings. So Podkolzin, he's going to draw in on the left wing with Sheldon Dries and Brock Besser, and that means that Nils Höglander comes out once again. So it looks like Höglander is going to be the healthy scratch, the only lineup change, and that means that Thatcher Demko makes back-to-back starts for the first time since facing Carolina and Seattle in the final week of October. And of course, Demko looking for back-to-back wins for the first time all season. The Vancouver Canucks trying to make it 3 in a row for the first time this year.
And a significant mark for Ethan Bear tonight, going to play his 200th NHL game.
Yeah, it'll be his 10th in a Canuck uniform, 200th overall with stops in Edmonton and Carolina before this one. And he's settling in quite nicely, and actually has been a stabilizing force for Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who has seen his ice time decrease a little bit here in recent games, although he was up over 20 minutes the other night against the Los Angeles Kings, but in recent games has been under that 20-minute mark. So we'll continue to watch OEL. One wrinkle when we talk about OEL, the veteran defenseman, Canucks penalty kill has actually been perfect in the last 2 games. And OEL is no longer part of the penalty kill. So that's an area where they have reduced his workload. Ethan Bear is part of the penalty kill. And I know people wonder, why does Riley Stillman stay in this lineup instead of a guy like Kyle Burrows or Jack Rathbone? And I do think that penalty kill, especially with OEL coming off the penalty kill duty, Riley Stillman has stepped in there, but still very much a wait and see to really get a sense if Riley Stillman is one of the 6 best defensemen available to Bruce Boudreau.
All right, that leads us now to our question of the day. We asked you, who is the scariest team in the Pacific Division and why? And by scary, JPat, you could go one way or the other. Who you picking?
Well, certainly you could make a compelling case for the Anaheim Ducks, who are dead last, and it's been a real struggle for Anaheim. In fact, how much of a struggle for Anaheim? The Vancouver Canucks at 65% on the penalty kill, no longer dead last in the NHL. The Ducks are worse in that area of the game. So, yes, the Canucks have to bring their penalty kill up. It's been better of late, but the Ducks really scuffling at the bottom of the division and the bottom of the NHL standings. I think you could make a case for this Vegas team, as we talked about. We'll touch more on what's made them successful here momentarily. You got the Calgary Flames, who haven't had a great start, but still so much talent there. And then, of course, any team that has Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. I've got a lot of time for somebody that wants to make the argument that the Edmonton Oilers are the scariest team. And maybe for a reason that people hadn't thought about. It looked in the offseason like they had shored up their goaltending, picking up Jack Campbell. But Campbell's taken a back seat, and Stuart Skinner has stepped forward and really does look like the go-to guy there and is providing the Oilers the kind of goaltending that they've needed here. And again, they got a big win the other night against the Vegas Golden Knights. Some of that on the back of Connor McDavid.
Yeah, take a look at the Canucks salary cap, though. That might be the scariest thing in the Pacific Division right now. All right, let's shift our focus over to those Golden Knights. As you mentioned, an overtime loss in Edmonton. And they were riding a 9-game winning streak at one point, JPat, but they've cooled off a little bit.
Yeah, but this is a really deep team, and Jack Eichel is looking like the superstar that Buffalo had hoped when they drafted him 2nd overall to McDavid, and of course got the the change out of Buffalo, got to Vegas. He looks like he's healthy now, 10 goals, 22 points on the season. And so Jack Eichel is the guy that leads the way here. Mark Stone, obviously a quality hockey player. He had 2 of the Vegas 3 goals the other night in Edmonton, including 1 on a second period penalty shot. Chandler Stevenson having a nice start offensively as well. He has 6 goals and 18 points. So we know some of the other names, Marcia So and William Karlsson, the guys that were there as part of the Misfits that took that inaugural team to the Stanley Cup final. But then you look at this Vegas team on the back end. Alex Pietrangelo having an incredible start to the season. He's up to 17 points already. Shea Theodore, the local kid, he's got 15. In fact, Vegas, the only team in the NHL with 2 of the top 15 scorers among defensemen. You throw Quinn Hughes on the Canucks side into the mix, and certainly there is a ton of offense from the back end in this hockey game tonight. But a lot of what the Vegas Golden Knights do is with that second wave of offense, whether it's Pietrangelo, whether it's Shea Theodore jumping up into the rush. So if you're watching this game, if you're going to it, keep an eye on a very active Vegas defense because it's a huge part of that team's offense.
Goaltending was a big question mark for Vegas going into the season with Robin Lehner out for the year. However, rookie goaltender Logan Thompson has really stepped things up. 4 seasons ago, JPat, he was playing U Sports hockey. Now he's one of the best young goalies in the NHL.
Yeah, one of 3 guys this year with 2 shutouts already this season, so he's in pretty select company there. And you just look at the individual numbers, a goals against average of 2.27, a save percentage of .925. So he has been tough to beat. He's one of the reasons that the Vegas Golden Knights are the 4th stingiest team in the National Hockey League defensively. You mix that in with the fact that they're the 5th highest scoring team in the league, and it kind of gives you a better picture of why this is such a formidable force. And again, a team that has 14 wins in its first 19 games this year.
Yeah, Bruce Cassidy's got him playing disciplined as well, the least penalized group in the NHL.
Yeah, only the St. Louis Blues have taken fewer minor penalties, but the Blues have also played less hockey than the Golden Knights have. So on a per-game basis, nobody takes less trips to the penalty box than the Vegas Golden Knights. And a part of that is the way that they're constructed. They have 2 major penalties all season long. Vancouver Canucks lead the NHL in fighting majors with 13. And this Vegas team, they've got some guys that can battle Braden McNabb on the back end, but for the most part, they seem to do more work and better work with their gloves on than their gloves off, and so they stick to hockey. They've been a remarkably disciplined bunch, and anytime the Vancouver Canucks are facing a disciplined team that doesn't take many penalties, that could take away one of the Canucks' biggest weapons, that power play that's been red hot. Brock Besser getting his first of the season on the power play, so he's getting in on the scoring fund now with the man advantage as well. But if this Vegas team plays the way it wants, it's not going to spend much time in the penalty box and more time at 5-on-5. They have been terrific at even strength this year. The Canucks, that hasn't necessarily been their strong suit. They've leaned on their power play when they've had success.
All right, let's get to my Bodog best bet. Missed out last game, but we're still making some money. Tonight, I've got a power play goal and an empty net goal in the game at plus 260. I see this being a 4-2, 5-3 game either way, JPat. And I also love the Canucks on the power play, and I love that empty net goal to whoever wins this game.
All right, I can see where you're coming from with that one. So we're expecting a tight game, 1 goal down to the wire, and then somebody seals it into the empty net, and Andrew Wadden will go home happy.
All right, we got some Bodog bucks to give away as well. $75 more to whoever can guess the time and period of the game-winning goal from either team. The person that guesses that will win the $75. You must have a Bodog account. And that's $75, JPat. That can go a long way, especially if you've been following me this year.
Yeah. And again, this is a great opportunity to get involved. If you don't have a Bodog account, make sure you get one and then throw a guess in the comments section or online when we post the question on Twitter as well. We'll take all the entries into account, and our accountants will go over with a fine-tooth comb, and we'll come up with the person that comes closest to the time and period of the game winner between the Canucks and Vegas tonight.
All right, perhaps the game-winning goal will be scored by this guy. Who do you got to do something tonight in this game?
Well, we saw Brock Besser do something a couple of times the other night, and Elias Pettersson with 2 goals as well, so they were involved. A relatively quiet night for Bo Horvat and JT Miller, but those guys haven't been held quiet for long, so it wouldn't surprise me if they bounce back. But I'm going a little, I won't say off the board here, because he's been productive. We've seen him had a big night, had the hat trick against the Anaheim Ducks, but Andrei Kuzmenko has gone a little bit quiet in the goal-scoring department. Now, he had 2 primary assists the other night against the Los Angeles Kings, so it's not like he hasn't been contributing, but since his last goal, he was a healthy scratch for the game in Boston, and he just hasn't been quite as noticeable as he had been earlier in the season. So big divisional game, big, strong, tough Vegas team. You'd like to see Andrei Kuzmenko rise to the challenge here. And of course, he's lost his spot on power play 1 as well. So maybe that fuels him, a little motivation. Whatever the case, I'm looking for Andrei Kuzmenko to step up and do something to help the Vancouver Canucks knock off the Vegas Golden Knights and make it 1, 2, 3 straight wins for the first time all season long.
Well, it's going to be a tough one for that, though. The Vegas Golden Knights, coming off that loss, they're going to be hungry for another victory. Be sure to join us post-game, as we'll have the post-game podcast for you as quick as we can on your favorite podcast platform. This has been another edition of the Rink Wide Vancouver podcast presented by Bodog. For Jeff Patterson, I'm Andrew Wadden. Remember, Rink Wide is the show that always scores.